The following excerpts don't always require an explanation or interpretation. Flat Earth, being such an obvious fact for pre-Renaissance peoples and some afterwards, the physics of which so simple and logical, self-evident to the point of never having to think about it. From the Taoist book of Lier Zhu. Heaven took its body from the yang, so it was round and in motion. Earth took its body from the yin, so it was flat and quiescent. Perfect reciprocal principles. Later it describes how heaven begets and shelters, in other words, the firmament, and likewise the earth, quote, shapes and supports. These sayings have been made out by academia to be symbolic, when in actuality literal. Also, quote, the world is a sacred vessel. The same shapes and motions are found in the North American tradition. Elder rolling thunder. Everything the power does, it does it in a circle. We need to practice seeing the cycles that the Great Spirit gave us. This applies to time, ergo history as well. Elder Black Elk. At the center of the universe dwells Wan Tanka, and that this center is really everywhere. It is within each of us. From the Yoruba and Fon peoples of West Africa, one of their proverbs says, the world is a giant calabash, meaning container. The sky is the lid, and the earth is the bowl. At the horizon, the two halves meet, and that is where the spirits enter the world. The Congo tribes of Central Africa say, the earth is a mountain over a body of water, but it is also a circle. The sun travels around it, rising in the east, birth, peaking at noon, maturity, setting in the west, death, and shining in the world of the ancestors at midnight. These diagrams include what the universe comprises of: earth, water, air, fire. Medium's energy motion plays through, expresses itself, making life possible. In the Bakong cosmogram, the seasons are noted. These things are important for a proper understanding of the ancient healing sciences, still more respected in the East. They know it correlates with the human body. Acupuncture, Chinese herbal remedies, etc. No more pseudo than astrology. Appertaining too to how the elements should be properly used to advantage in agriculture, gardening, transport, and earth-wide infrastructure. As recently as the 1800s, Europeans were congregating on holy days, spots like Bath in England and Switzerland, to take the waters, drunk and bathed in for their therapeutic properties. In this illustration, a wise man is drawn much bigger than the others, maybe because of his status in the group, based on word-of-mouth ancestral knowledge. Some people might talk about giant leaders in past times and the like. The group of people here are what's important. the heavenly bodies close at hand being studied. Another aspect is how these all show the universe free-floating. Job 26:7. He stretches out the north over empty space and hangs the north on nothing. The famous Danish poem Beowulf presents Midgard, Middle Earth, where humans live, as the setting. A combination of Nordic mythology and biblical Christianity. A created universe. Line 63. First and foremost, let the Almighty Father be thanked for this sight. The heavenly shepherd can work his wonders everywhere. Later, quote, he said the Almighty made the earth, a bright, belted plain for the sea to enfold, and set up in triumph the sun and the moon as lights to enlighten the dwellers on land. Lines 92 to 94. The Scop told how the Almighty had fashioned the earth, a radiant plain girdled by waters. Dragons and monsters come from fen slopes and gloomy waters, called the mere on the edge. The grund is another boundary, meaning the sea floor. An artist's impression below of the Nordic Niflheim realm showed to be literally built out of semi-dead and alive bodies. Indeed, one area of the underworld, Nastrond, means the shore of corpses. The Shooting Star, 1942. Hergé's 10th graphic novel in the series, combines themes of astronomy, psychology, and geopolitics. Attention drawn to the polar regions when a meteorite lands there, made of an unknown space metal. The race is on between the United States and FERS, European Fund of Scientific Research, to be the first to reach the spot. We never see the actual meteorite, just something talked about. When Tintin gets there, what's found is a place of imagination. The metal has caused things to grow enormous. Makes you think of the popular contemporary theory that there used to be giant trees on Earth millennia ago. And, of course, dinos and primordial vegetation. Hergé uses words, etymology at every turn. The ship they sailed on is called Aurora, as in Borealis. Another the Sirius. Below. As Tintin navigates the government-funded official place of learning, your NASA headquarters or research laboratories, there are no people. Strangely quiet, he says, because it's a front. An uncomfortably mysterious atmosphere. The idea of some sin, encapsulated in the prophet who warns, chastisement, I told them, chastisement. No clue is given as to why or how he got there. Hergé does not pursue that detail. When entering the observatory itself, the enormous state-of-the-art, for then, telescope, is not being used. just two stereotypically egg-headed experts messing with numbers. Quote, very complicated mathematics, which fail to solve the problem they're looking for, where the meteorite's headed for. Moreover, at the moment of revelation, the opportunity to look into space, there's terror at the sight of a giant spider, but it was crawling across the lens. The whole thing becomes somewhat of a joke. The spider may be used here symbolically, as when they chase Tintin on the island later on, representing the shadow side, manipulation, which the space agencies are all about, weaving a web of lies for the public, witchcraft. To state the obvious, not to do with the actual animal, which, like snakes, are awesome creatures, no attachment to good and evil, but to be respected naturally. The lineup for the expedition, framed faces, the types to be celebrated in posterity, puppets for key institutions, yet at the same time a bit ridiculous, and in fact play little to no part in the practical mission. Instead, the political outcome is what's really important. Nationalism and flag waving would have been at its height during World War II. About reclaiming land, redefining borders, what follows and is partly the point of international warfare.